Hello everyone, my name is Beren Johnson, and the concepts that I'm talking to you guys about today are based on the book that I used for my nonverbal audio presentation. The book is The Nonverbal Advantage by Dr. Carol Kinsey Goman. Today I will be discussing talking with your hands. Hand and arm gestures not only are an adjunct to speech, but may be our oldest method of communication. Researchers believe that early humans communicated using a form of mime. Somewhere in our evolutionary history, speech took over from gestures as the main form of communication. But gestures and speech are so tightly connected that we can't do one without the other. It's an old habit that won't die, even if we're talking to a blind person. Try this. The next time someone is talking to you, pretend that you didn't quite understand what he or she was saying and ask them to repeat what they said. Watch and see if they add gestures that they haven't used before. They more than likely will. This is because people realize on an unconscious level that gestures help to punctuate whatever it is they're trying to say. Have you ever noticed that when people are passionate about what they're saying, their gestures become a little more animated? Their hands and arms move about, emphasizing points and conveying enthusiasm. Some gestures have an agreed upon meaning to a group and are consciously used instead of words. These are referred to as emblematic gestures, and like the words they represent, they're processed in the left hemisphere of the brain. The thumbs up sign is commonly understood to mean okay or good job. A shoulder shrug, especially when accompanied with a palms up gesture, means the person doesn't know, doesn't understand, or doesn't care. A hand cupping the ear says, I can't hear you. When being truthful or forthcoming, people tend to use open gestures, showing their palms and wrists and spreading hands and arms away from their bodies, as if saying, I have nothing to hide. When someone is being deceitful or guarded, he tends to use hand and arm gestures less. There are a number of hand gestures that signal a variety of reactions. When a listener begins using his or her hands to support their head, they're telling you that they're bored. Gripping the hands behind the back often indicates anger or frustration. Finger pointing and finger wagging are parental gestures of scolding, and politicians and executives use this gesture in meetings, negotiations, or interviews for emphasis or to show dominance. The problem is that rather than being a sign of authority, aggressive finger pointing suggests that the person is losing control in a situation. So if you want to appear in control, don't wag your finger. The ultimate closed gesture is arms crossed over the chest, and it carries the same defensive or negative meanings almost everywhere. Research shows that when a listener folds his arms, not only does he have negative thoughts about the presenter, but he's also paying less attention to what's being said. If you've seen my last nonverbal project, you're familiar with the 5 C's necessary to decode body language. You need to understand how context changes meaning, look for clusters sending the same messages, notice if the messages are congruent, know someone's baseline so that you can gauge consistency, and filter body language for cultural influences. In conclusion, you'll find that what people do with their hands tells you a lot more than they realize they're telling you. Knowing the hand and arm gestures people use and their true meaning will help you to use the nonverbal communication of others to your advantage. I'm Beren Johnson, and I hope the information I've shared with you today is news that you can use. An agreed is commonly misunderstood to mean okay or good job. A shoulder shrug to mean okay or good job. A shoulder shrug, especially accompanied with palms up, means I don't. Showing their palms and wrists, spreading hands and arms as if saying, I'm being honest with you. But my cue cards keep falling, so I can't finish my statement. losing control in a situation. So don't you point your fingers. Like I said, the person is losing control in a situation. So if you want to appear in posture, is arms crossed over the chest, and it carries the same defensive or negative meanings. My last nonverbal project, you're familiar with the 5 C's of context, clusters, something else, the hand and arm gestures people use, their true meaning will help you of mime, and using a form of mime. Johnson. My name is Beren Johnson, and I hope the information that I've shared with you today is news that you can use.